A lot of people said that Toy Story should have ended after the third film because we got Andy's amazing conclusion to the story. And honestly, I understand that argument. Then Toy Story 4 came along and gave us a proper Woody send-off. So now we're on Toy Story 5. So the question is, was it worth getting to this point? So Toy Story 5 continues the story of Bonnie and the gang while adding new complicated challenges to the mix, new characters, and a surprisingly relevant theme that has to do with technology and how it's taking over the kids' minds, and how kids interact with that in the world today. And honestly, this movie reminds me why Toy Story is one of the most popular animated franchises to this day. So let's start with the positives. The biggest positive of this is honestly Jessie. This is easily the most important Jessie has been throughout this whole Toy Story series since she's been introduced in Toy Story 2 that came out in '99. And Pixar absolutely nails her story. Not only did they finally give her the spotlight she respectfully deserved, but her arc ends up being the most emotional parts of this film. And yes, I cried. So you guys will too. Bonnie also gets more development than I expected as well. One thing I love was spending more time with the humans in this story, because looking back to the other previous films, when we did have Andy for 3 movies, we didn't get to spend as much time with him and learn more about him outside of how he interacts with these toys. So seeing more of Bonnie's life and how she interacts with these toys was actually a nice thing to add into this. I also loved how this movie handled Buzz. After how they massacred him in Toy Story 4, I didn't know what to expect with his storyline moving forward, especially getting into this movie. But this seemed like it was a step in the right direction and reminded me why I loved Buzz since I got first introduced to him in '95's Toy Story. And come on, we gotta embrace that Buzz is one of the most important characters in this franchise. We've loved him for 30 whole years. It's crazy thinking back on that. You can't spell Toy Story without Buzz and Woody. What I loved is that their dynamic still feels natural after all of these years. It's like talking to a friend you haven't spoken to in years and then you guys continue where you left off instead of it being awkward and uncomfortable. There's a comfort to their relationship that only is built up from years of history together. And every scene that they share reminds me how much they've been such a perfect duo in the animation community. And the comedy in here is amazing. Granted, the comedy in all the Toy Stories are good, but this one actually did get me. I laughed more than I expected. And there were multiple moments in this movie where a lot of the people in this theater were laughing as well. And I like when they add new characters and actually integrate them well into the story, because in this Toy Story movie, the way they integrate these characters, it actually doesn't feel forced. They feel like they belong here. And one of my favorite aspects is how they do intertwine with technology and toys. Because without getting the spoilers, Toy Story 5 really does ask the question what it means to be a toy in a world that's being taken over by technology. Because it's a whole war zone. It's toys and technology fighting over kids' attention. And I can appreciate that Pixar doesn't take the easy route out with this story. Instead, it explores how modern childhood is being distorted and changed by the introduction of technology itself, while never losing sight of the importance of friendship, imagination, and genuine human connection. It's a modern theme that feels incredibly relevant and gives this movie more of a reason to exist outside of nostalgia. But I actually do wish that Pixar pushed the idea a bit more than they did. Nonetheless, it was still satisfying. And there's also a subplot in here that was introduced early on that feels like it belongs in a completely different movie. And somehow Pixar manages to bring it all together to make a cohesive story at the end. And something I really enjoyed seeing was seeing the toys' perspective of being played with, because that's always been the core purpose of the Toy Story franchise. It's the heart of the franchise, and we only saw it vaguely in Toy Story 3, which I thought was cool. So seeing it being expanded on in this film is honestly them just giving me everything that I asked for. And another thing you guys can expect that I wasn't expecting was everybody's reaction to Taylor Swift's song in this movie. The second people realized that she has her own song in this film, the theater's reaction was they exploded. But the good news is it wasn't just because of Taylor Swift. The song that she did make for this film does fit the theme of this movie, and it lands emotionally when it needs to. It felt like a natural addition instead of just a marketing gimmick. And honestly, I do enjoy that it worked really well. I just wish that the song was in the movie in a better way than they did have it in here. And there were a lot of innuendos in this movie, like a lot of adult jokes that were in here. Like I was like, whoa. But don't worry, this is still 100% a child movie, but there were some adult jokes in here which I was just surprised to hear. But it did get the adults laughing more than the kids in the film, because we caught that. We caught that. Pixar obviously understands that a lot of the kids that watch Toy Story are adults now, so they did write the script to aim more towards us kids that are grown up now. And it never felt forced or out of place. It was just something I wasn't expecting going in, so it did catch me by surprise. And the movie also looks fantastic. The animation is gorgeous, the action's exciting, and Pixar still reminds us daily of how they're the kings of animated storytelling. There's just so much to love with this movie. But where there's good, there's bad, and we'll talk about that. I have some complaints. My biggest one is that the first 2 acts feel a bit too crowded. There's a lot of storytelling, there's a lot of plot points, and characters being introduced all at once. And it feels slightly overwhelming before everything starts getting put into place. I also thought that the movie was kind of milking the old man Woody jokes. Like, I was expecting it because in the trailer there were like 2. So I was like, okay, this seems like they're going to do that. And they did. It got a bit repetitive and annoying, if I'm being honest. And while I understand why this happened, some returning characters don't get as much screen time as I'd expect because the movie has so many new characters and storylines to balance, so a lot of the core characters from Toy Story 1 and 2 get completely sidelined, and it breaks my heart. And I didn't like the placement for the Taylor Swift song. Not gonna spoil anything, but I kind of wish the song was more integrated in the movie for more of the certain purpose you'll see when you get there. But honestly, this movie's for everyone. Kids will love the adventure and comedy, and adults will appreciate the nostalgia and the emotional themes. And longtime Toy Story fans will find a lot in here that will continuously remind them why we love Toy Story since the first movie came out. We've grown up with these characters. This is our childhood, and we've seen all these movies grow as each movie came out, and we grew with them. But I walked into Toy Story 5 questioning what more they had to say, and I walked out wondering why I even ever doubted Pixar to begin with. And this is definitely an improvement from Toy Story 4 in every single way. It's funny, it's emotional, it's thoughtful. It gives Jessie the spotlight she deserves. It gives Bonnie more meaningful development, and it finds a modern theme that's extremely worth exploring. And most important, why we all come to these movies, is because this film has heart. A lot of it. Some Toy Story films might be stronger than others, but each of them always has heart. And Toy Story 5 reminds me why this franchise still means so much to so many people 30 years later. What started as a story just about toys became a story about growing up, letting go, and creating new memories. And somehow, 5 movies later, Pixar still manages to make us laugh, to make us cry, and to feel like a kid again. So my rating for Toy Story 5, I give this a must-see mayhem. And one last thing, there's a post-credit scene. Stay for that, don't leave. And after seeing Toy Story 5, especially knowing that this is my first official year as a YouTuber, so I wasn't here for Toy Story 4, I wasn't here for Toy Story 3, and so on and so forth. I get to finally make a review ranking all the films, so make sure to turn that notification sound on, because that is coming. But this was a fantastic start of the summer blockbusters. And don't worry, we're just getting started, because I'll be covering Supergirl, Minions, Moana, The Odyssey, and I'll be covering Spider-Man Brand New Day, and a whole lot more. So don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. You know what? Don't even hit that subscribe button, because honestly, telling people not to do something kind of makes them want to do it more now, right? And when Toy Story 5 finally comes out and you get a chance to see it, come back here, comment and tell me how you guys feel. Tell me if you guys felt the same way or if you guys didn't. But if you like my vibe, comment below, like and subscribe. And as always, I'm James Hancock, signing off.
Nice poncho. It's good to see them fighting again. It sure is.